He made his way to her room, feeling more angry than he ever had towards Stella. He passed her best friend in the hallway who stopped and grabbed her food from the bags he was carrying. She barely thanked him before continuing on her way. He was buzzed into the maternity wing and headed to her room with all the food. As soon as he walked in and saw another man holding his son, he was filled with an emotion he wasn't familiar with: jealousy, rage, combined. He walked over to Philip and took his son out of his arms. He walked around the room holding him, and he knew instantly that this was his son. He looked identical to Pippa as a baby, and Pippa had looked identical to his own photos as a newborn. His heart swelled. He was as far away from them as he could be in the room, just loving his son.
So I guess we should talk about what we're going to name him, since it isn't something we've talked about before this moment.
You've denied he's your son up until this point. You didn't come to my appointments and barely asked me about them once they were over. You didn't communicate or check on me at all since our marriage was dissolved. I already named him Henry Philip Walker.
His heart sank at the name and went from broken to angry in a second. He kept a hold of his son and looked angrily from Philip to her mother, back and forth, not sure who he should go off on first. Philip probably, who had a smug expression on his face.
I'm going to have to ask everyone to leave the room. Stella and I need to have a private conversation, and it needs to happen now.
Her mother and Philip both looked to her for permission before getting up and exiting the room. Philip kissed her forehead and let her know that he would be right outside the room if she needed him. Once they were alone and the door was shut, Nate went off.
So you not only named our son after a man you barely know, but you gave him your last name. You kept my last name so that it would be the same as our son's, and then you give him your maiden name. What the hell, Stella? I should get a say in this. I wanted to name him Michael after my father. I want him to have my last name so he can be the one who continues on the family name. My family name. You can't do this. I am speaking to the nurses about my rights.
Oh, now all of a sudden he's your son when you've denied up until this point. You can't have your cake and eat it to Nate. His name has already been decided, and you won't be on the birth certificate until the DNA test comes back.